Quite a while passed and Care calmed down. She then asked you, how did he escape, and what happened to his summons and when? You then started making a fabricated story, as he didn't want to reveal his true identity. He continued that he got out of the void with the help of Hilf, and after that he saw a summons and the magician fighting, but then the cliff of summons was standing on broke while they were fighting. Care then thought the magician you was referring must be Hasten. She didn't expect Hasten to restrain himself as he faced a summons. You then said that he had used the opportunity to grab her and Hilf and escape from that place, as a summons and a magician were distracted in the fight. But when the volcano erupted, there was no one else outside. Care then sighed hearing that. At this moment, you changed the topic. He asked, by the way, Master Care, how is your magic and physical recovery going so far? Care grabbed the blanket in frustration and thought, even with the magic that this fool returned to me, my current magical level is below intermediate. She then with a solemn expression spoke, you, take Hilf and leave this place. You was surprised hearing that and asked why. Care continued her explanation, once the other families know about the deaths of the Assemans, and when then, the balance of power in the past 100 years between the Flemish Empire, Assemans, and the three families would be broken. I am afraid that the situation with the Empire will change soon. She paused and then spoke in a sad tone. Right now, I am not even an intermediate mage. You will be kept in danger if you keep following me. At this moment, you spoke, well, I refuse. She looked at you in shock. Then she suddenly became angry and shouted, do you understand what I am saying? Without the protection of the Semens, the Pollitt family will not let us go. Not to mention the Ez's family, who were just waiting for this to happen. You then replied calmly, if he and Hilf were to leave, then what would happen to her? Care was at a loss of words. Seeing her foolish disciple act like that, she wanted to say something, but words that would convince them to leave didn't come out of her mouth. You once again spoke, that's even more reason for me to stay until this situation is over with. Since we can't run together, we will face it together. Care blushed hearing you say that, but you didn't stop. He continued with a cheeky tone. Besides, I am your apprentice and fiancé. How can I leave you behind and run away? Hearing that, Care became embarrassed and shouted, how many times did I tell you not to take the being a fiancé thing seriously? Hilf then spoke with a determined voice, I'll also stay here and protect my master and Master Care. All these words warmed Care's heart. She had never thought that a foolish boy she picked up as a disciple to pass her time would be so kind to him. But she acted like a tsundere and looked towards the other side. She then said, if something happens to either of you, it's not my fault. Hearing that, you smiled, then took out an egg from the space ring. He then spoke, Master Care, the Killen entrusted me with this egg before their death. Care seeing that replied, isn't this a jade? You said, Wend was wrong. The object the Killen was guarding wasn't a jade. Instead it was an egg. Care then nodded in understanding. At this moment, Hilf spoke, Master, why don't you name it? You muttered, yes, you are right, Hilf. I can't always call it the Killen's egg. There was a moment of silence, as you was thinking what to name. All of a sudden he had an idea. He said, since this egg came from the eastern continent, I heard that in their culture they name children by popular name. You smiled and continued, then, I'll just call it the Iron Egg. Hearing that name, the egg started to emit more fire and anger. Yu's palm burned and he almost threw the egg. Care said to Hilf, I think it didn't like the name. Yu, after hearing that, changed the name. He then asked, how is this name, the Two Pillars? All of a sudden the flames even got bigger. In another part of the town, inside a dark alleyway, a man in black cloak could be seen trembling while walking. The man thought, they didn't expect that even if the Void Lord dies, I could use the Void Realm to move in that space and escape. The man appeared to be severely injured. He was Hasten. The man coughed and thought, it was fortunate that I ran fast, otherwise I would have died with a Semens. I can't afford to mess up. He then continued his chain of thought and smiled, The news that when Cutla is dead could be sold for a good price. A week later, Care was reading out the news. It seemed that Hasten really did escape from the volcano. He spread the news of Wen's death. In the past few days, the forces focused on the Capella family have been dispersed. Care stopped reading then news and then thought. The strange thing is that he didn't mention anything about a summons or us. She then sighed and instructed Hilf, forget it. Fortunately, he didn't know that the jade was actually an egg. You should be careful to not let others see it. All of a sudden, Care asked, where did he go? Hilf replied, Master said that he wanted to go out and see what the city looks like, and also look for some medicinal materials to make a magic recovery potion. In the city roads, you could be seen walking and looking at his surroundings. Seeing so many lovely ladies, you laughed in a perverse manner. He was very happy, as he believed that a place where there are beautiful young maidens make the air even sweeter. After wandering for quite a while and seeing many beautiful women, Yu's heart was full of bliss. It was only at this moment that Yu remembered something important, seeing the shop in front of him. Oh, I almost forgot to find the materials Master Care asked for. He then moved towards the store in front of him. The moment he opened the door, a cheerful voice greeted his ears. The receptionist spoke, welcome, courteous guest of the Wangdala trading firm. The woman spoke, Mister, are you looking for a high-priced durable armor to purchase or magical stones that enhance your magic's potency? Yu replied, I want to buy some materials from Dongfang, but it may be a little bit hard to find. The woman spoke in a cheerful and assuring voice, Don't worry, mister. The Wangdala trading firm is the most stocked store in the entire empire. Yu was happy hearing that. He then started laughing while thinking, if I could buy them all at once in this store, then I don't need to run into other stores. If that's the case, I can use the rest of my free time to look at more beautiful young ladies. The woman thought this customer of hers was weird. Yu then handed over the list of materials he wanted to buy. The woman took the list and started reading it. For a moment there was silence. The woman was flustered while reading the list. Millennium Ginseng, Extensive Dragon Scent, Tanshan Mountain Snow Lotus. You seeing her like that asked, was there a problem? The woman smiled and said, no, it's nothing, but inside she was already shouting, if there isn't a problem then that would be strange. These materials, even a Dongbei's continent itself, are considered to be rare and high-priced. Does this guy thinks it is as simple as buying some vegetables? The woman sighed and said, my apologies, these materials are too rare, even our store doesn't have them. Hearing that, Yu began thinking, it never crossed my mind that the weeds that are found so abundantly outside of the Apostles' Temple is a scarce material in the human world. If I knew that earlier, I would have pulled out several hundreds of them. At this moment the woman saw a ring on Yu's finger and her eyes shined. It was because that ring was a first-class space ring, that is inlaid with a magic stone. It could only mean that this guy was someone very rich or of high importance. Yu turned around and started to leave, but at this moment the woman hurriedly stopped him. She then said, it just crossed my mind that the auction may contain the things that you are looking for. Yu was confused hearing the word auction. The woman, seeing her customer hooked, cheerfully explained, it is a sales conference that is held only once a year in the black market. From unique weapons to slave demons, they have got everything. Hearing that, Yu thought, this sales conference sounds a little suspicious. The woman then took out a golden ticket and spoke. If you are interested, I have the last ticket here. For a while Yu was in a dilemma, whether to go or not, but finally he decided to check out this auction. He spoke, fine, I want that ticket. The woman smiled and spoke, nice, it will cost 100 gold. The woman handed him the ticket and said, the auction will be held tonight at 7. It will be held at Lonky Pub's basement in the southern part of the city. Please remember to be there on time. After taking the ticket and handing her the money, Yu left. The woman bowed towards in courtesy, but after a while her cheerful expression disappeared, and a serious expression appeared. She pulled out the hairband that tied her hair. At this moment a servant from outside came and spoke in a polite tone. "Intelligent young Miss Lin, why are you here? I swear that I paid this month's protection fee already." The woman's persona had changed completely. She then smirked and replied, "What else do I come here for? Of course it is to reel in a big fish." Soon it was evening. Yu was roaming the streets and searching for Lonky Pub where the auction would take place. At this moment a cloaked figure bumped into him. Yu immediately apologized. But at this moment a man with a scar on his face took out his weapon and shouted, "How dare you touch our master?" Yu, seeing this, frowned and thought, "I only bumped him and they are attacking me like this. Isn't this too much?" At this moment the cloaked figure raised its hand to stop the servant from attacking Yu. The servant stopped even though he was angry with Yu. The cloaked figure spoke, "It seems like it wasn't done on purpose. Let's go, don't be late." The servants politely replied with a yes. After hearing the voice, Yu was shocked, and soon his shock turned into happiness. Yu began his fantasy. That beautiful voice, it could only mean that the hood is definitely hiding an icy beauty underneath. The guards came near Yu and apologized as it was their mistake. Then they gave him a warning to watch where he was going next time. After that they left. Yu stood there and thought, "These people are really weird." Time passed. Soon it was night time. Inside Longchi Pub, all types of people had gathered. Yu had finished one whole jug of wine. He spoke, "Wow. This place's blend of fruit juice is so tasty. Since the auction isn't open yet, get me another glass." While Yu was drinking, he also eavesdropped on others' conversation. One man was telling his friend, "Hey, they say that the final treasure being sold this time is an artifact provided by Jailago. I am curious, who is going to buy the treasure?" The other man said, "Yes, there are a lot of important people gathering because of that treasure." The other person was surprised and asked, "Important people, who?" Then his friend pointed towards a man in white cloak and whispered, "Do you see that person wearing the white cloak? He is only half a foot away from the Ace Mage realm. He is King Zusi the Destroyer." The other man was shocked. He couldn't believe the Destroyer came. But his friend then pointed to various people and whispered, "Not only him, but there is also Thunder Snake Ao Diamond Ai Jewel Si Tian, and many more had gathered here for this." Yu, while drinking, thought, "It looks like this auction's items are in great demand." At this moment someone grabbed Yu's arm. Yu turned around only to find out the familiar store woman. The woman spoke in astonishment. "Oh, what a coincidence. We meet again." Yu coughed and said, "Young lady, why are you here?" The woman spoke in a seductive manner. "An auction that is only held once a year. Of course I wouldn't miss this." She then pressed her chest on his arm and continued, "It is a bit much to call me a young lady. Call me Linda. What's your name?" Yu smiled with embarrassingly and said, "I have only a single character name, Yu." Linda thought, looks like he took the bait so easily. After the auction starts, there would be many opportunities to convince him to give his ring to them. She then asked, "Well, it's almost time. How about letting me show you around? I'll guide you to the auction hall." The same duo once again spoke up, seeing the woman. "Isn't that she's favorite daughter Linda? The one beside her couldn't be someone important, right?" The other man replied, "I don't recognize him. It seems like he's yet another rich, good-looking guy that Linda reeled in." After a while, Linda and Yu had already taken their seats as the auction was about to start. Yu asked Linda that there were so many people in this auction. Weren't the organizers afraid that someone would report this to the authorities? Linda smiled and replied, "The one who conducts this auction is the town's head of the underworld, Shi. No one dares to provoke him. It is not only thieves who buy things in the black market, but also many rich nobles." On the stage below, the auction seemed to have started. The announcer came forward and spoke, "It's a lovely night with lovely people." The crowd cheered, seeing the auction start. The announcer continued, Tonight is the last night of our auction, and I am sure that everyone can't wait to bring these treasures home." The announcer continued, "Then without further ado, let's begin immediately. The first item is Evil Hands. The starting bid is 50,000 gold." You seeing the item pondered, "Oh, the same evil hands which cast a curse on other people. It is rare to see them." The crowd started bidding, 60,000, 70,000, etc. Linda smiled and spoke, "You, besides the materials that you want to buy, this auction also has other items that are worth the gold. It is hard to get to attend an auction like this, so you can't let this chance slip by." Linda was a very clever woman. She wanted you to spend as much money as he can on this auction, so that their profits increase. After all, it was her father who organizes this auction. You replied, "That's true. I am here anyways." Soon more and more things started to appear. A hairpin that had been dug out of a millennium-old cave. There was a ring which was said to be a relic from Xuan Kong City. You looked at all those things in an indifferent manner and sighed, "Why is there not a single valuable treasure here?" Linda, seeing you uninterested, frowned. She thought, "Would this person really buy something? If this goes on, then I would have no choice but to rob him of his ring." She clenched her teeth. She wanted to control her urge of robbing him. Maybe there might be something in the auction that would interest him. The announcer smiled and spoke in an excited manner. "Finally, it is the moment that you all have been waiting for. I am honored to be here to present this last exhibit." He then revealed the item. He announced, "This item is the most valuable treasure in the auction today." The moment the item was shown, everyone started shivering from the intense cold. The announcer shouted, "This is the ice jade bracelet with its lotus accessory." The first bid would start at 200,000 gold. The man with the scar stood up and shouted, 300,000. But the bid didn't stop here, and it quickly went to 500,000. Linda had a nervous expression and thought, this was the last item, and he still hadn't made any bid. Maybe I made a mistake. Maybe he doesn't have any money, and maybe that space ring was fake too. At this moment you got up and shouted, "My bid is 1 million gold." Hearing it, all of them became silent. Even Linda was shocked. The announcer once again asked to confirm that he heard it right. You smirked and replied, "That's right, 1 million gold." All of a sudden the silent crowd broke out in whispers. "This guy doesn't even look like an aristocrat, but still have that much money. If you don't pay up at Xi's auction, then you won't live to see tomorrow." The announcer recovered from the shock and spoke, 1 million, calling once, 1 million calling twice. But before he could complete his sentence, someone from the crowd shouted, 1,300,000 gold. The crowd once again became shocked. There is still someone who wanted to raise the price. To Linda, these sounds were like angelic whisperings, because even if she didn't get the space ring, but due to this high bidding, she and her dad would get a large profit. You looked at the one who bid against him just now. It turned out to be the bodyguard he met before, so that was the reason they entered the auction. It was for the jade bracelet and ice lotus. You spoke, "It is a shame that I am running out of time and can't slowly raise the price, so you directly raise the price to sky high." He shouted, 30 million, and in addition the space ring. Hearing that, almost everyone got up from their seats, because this much money could sponsor a small kingdom for a year. The announcer didn't wait this time and shouted, 30 million calling once, 30 million calling twice. In the crowd, the guard asked, "Miss, should I still continue to raise the price?" The cloaked figure replied, "No need, the opponent is different this time, and he like us definitely knows the worth of this jade pendant and ice lotus. If he could offer that price without any hesitation, presumably he still has more money in case he needs it. Let's just wait and watch the situation before deciding anything." The guard bowed and backed off. The announcer with a cheerful voice announced, "That concludes the auction for today, and congratulations, master, for the purchase of this treasure. In a little while, please go backstage to conduct the transaction procedures." Linda was practically flying in clouds, as this much money was never spent before. She with a sparkling smile spoke, It seems like you don't know how to get backstage. Let me bring you there." But at this moment Yu had already disappeared and appeared on stage. He replied, "No need to trouble you, Linda. I am in a rush. Let's just do the transaction immediately." Linda was shocked seeing this and shouted, "No, you don't go there." Yu went to the stage and gave 30 million gold as they were in his space ring. He then received the ice jade pendant. Even the announcer was flustered seeing this. At this moment Yu turned around and asked Linda, "Oh right, what did you say before? I didn't hear it clearly." Linda facepalmed and spoke, "The number one most important rule in this auction is that, during the process of the auction, if the buyer steps on the stage without any authorization, it would be considered as a rule of violation. A buyer who violates the rules has to pay the full amount of the auction price before, and anyone could snatch the bought item." It seems before the girl could finish her explanation, some people in the crowd who were watching him like hyenas shouted, "Go, snatch it." Many people moved towards him to snatch the treasure, and soon there was a big explosion. A person frowned and spoke, "I can't believe it. As you see, the destroyer got one step ahead of us." The white-cloaked man, the destroyer, laughed and muttered, "Finally, the jade bracelet would be mine soon." But at this moment someone stopped him. As he turned around he saw a black-cloaked figure with an entourage of guards. They had already beaten his subordinates. At this moment the destroyer's legs were frozen by ice, and it was slowly moving towards his abdomen. He was shocked and blurted out, "No way, Ice Frost Lady." At this moment the black-cloaked figure removed her cloak, only to reveal a peerless, beautiful face devoid of any emotions. It seems Yu's guess was right. She really was an icy beauty. Her name was EZC, one of the Empire's trump card masters. People also called her the Frost Lady and the female general. Frost Lady went towards the treasure and opened the box. But before she could touch the jade bracelet, someone grabbed her hand. The man then said, "Even though you are a pretty young lady, but taking another person's property is wrong." This man was none other than Yu. That's all for today. Well, I hope you are happy now, as you have been requesting for a part 4 since months, so I made it. If you really want part 5, then comment below, and soon I will make it.